Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Reaction Therapy Podcast. I am your resident psychotherapist, Tom Stevens, here with Nick Stevens for a very special podcast today. Something we really haven't done before. Nick, you have set up the stage for a great day. What are we doing?
Yeah, we're listening to kind of an interview in a way. So usually we do interviews with other people.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be actually reacting to things, kind of like Thomas done with the XXXTentacion trial or some of the NF videos he's reacted to. So this is going to be kind of what those are, except I'm here too. So
yeah, we've done interviews with people. We've done deep dives where we talk all about the documentaries we've seen or things that we know about artists. And now you're bringing in a brand new perspective. This is going to be fun.
All right, so we're not even going to have any kind of intro, really. We're just going to go right into the main event. So, yes, we're going to be just reacting to this, and it features J.Cole. So, there's a J.Cole kind of interview. It was on ESPN, fun fact about this. But I looked at it when it popped up on my feed because I love sports, and it popped up, and I'm like, this is a really good topic for I think our podcast because it relates sports in a way, which I love, but it also is an artist, J. Cole, and the title is Lead by Example. So I think it's going to be fun. So we're going to have about half of this we're going to do live on this podcast, and then the other like 10 minutes or so we're going to have as an extra episode. So if you don't know, we do an extra episode for each podcast. Those are for YouTube members and Patreon only members. And so the Monday following when the podcast goes live, that is available to you on Patreon or on YouTube members. So if you want to see the other part of this, and you probably do because J. Cole's going to give some advice. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe.
Consider joining Patreon or YouTube.
Yes.
Bonus content.
All right, without further ado,
yes.
I get to say it this time. Here we go. J. Cole sits down with Bob Myers, Lead by Example.
Believe it. You know what I mean? Like see it all the time and believe it. And whatever you got to do to protect that belief, my version of protecting that belief was I wasn't sharing this.
Yeah, you
I wasn't even telling my mom. She knew I rapped. She knew I did music. And to her,
Don't
it was
let
like,
somebody knock you off.
I'm not even going to give my own mother the chance to try to bring me back down to reality. It's not going to happen.
Lead by Example with Bob Myers is presented for the people by Caesars Sportsbook. You bet, you get.
Little
With
sponsorship
Caesars Rewards,
there.
must be 21 or older.
Welcome to Lead by Example. I'm your host, Bob Myers. Today, J. Cole.
Hey.
Appreciate it.
What's poppin', man? How you doing?
What's poppin'?
So, you and I saw each other. My first time I met you was on the phone.
Yep.
And somebody said, well, you want to talk to you? And I'm thinking, like, what's this guy going to say?
For sure.
And what struck me a little bit was this guy, he loves basketball. And everybody, a lot of people walk around and say, I love
We got to turn this up a little bit. It's not loud enough.
basketball. You can kind of feel it. Does that ring true to you?
Nah, I love it for sure. Even right now as we speak, like I probably haven't played in a week and a half, maybe going on 2 weeks, and I feel the missing of it. You know what I mean? I feel the missing of it. But I love to watch too. But really,
it's playing.
It's playing. Yeah, for sure.
So growing up, you had your mom and your brother, right? And that was it. And you were born in Germany. You were born overseas.
Yeah, I was born in Germany. My mother and my father were together, and then like relatively early. I don't even think I was one before they like split up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was born.
That kind of tells you all you need to know about his upbringing. But
Early life separation.
In Germany. People think I'm German. That's the other thing, though. People think I'm German. The other thing, people think my mom is German. She's not German. Like, I think if you go to, like, Wikipedia or something, I'll meet random people. It's been years, though, by the way. I've never actually had even a moment to say it because it never came up. But it's been years, and somebody would come up to me and be like, bro, my mom's German, too. I'm like, bro, my mom's not German. Like, let me get you. My mom's from Michigan. But she was in the Army. She went to the Army when she was, like, soon as she turned 18, she kind of like got out of town, went to the Army, met my dad in Germany because he's from Arkansas. Yeah. So they're just like two kids that like, one from Michigan, one from Arkansas, and they both left. Like as soon as they could, they got out of their hometowns and like, met each other in Germany. Had my older brother, had me.
Yeah.
And then shortly after they had me, like within a year, we were back in the States. I feel like as a kid, I was always self-sufficient. I wasn't needy of another person's attention or boom, boom. Now, sometimes I wonder if that's just because, being the second kid and just being a kid to a young mother, you know what I mean, and a young father, and then she would have a boyfriend, and this would
no
be a
attention.
young stepfather eventually. Sometimes I wonder if it's just being a kid of young parents, if you just naturally learn,
It's a type of parent.
don't expect.
What? You go ahead.
It's a type of parent. It's the avoidant attachment, for him. He's just learned I'm not gonna get what I need to get. Like we need specific things first 5 years of life. In terms of attachment and the love, the care, the concern, the touch, all that stuff. When you don't get it and somebody's attention somewhere else, mom's working or it's not that it's a terrible thing. People do what they have to do, but could be working all the time, could have a new relationship. She could be into her own stuff. If he doesn't get it, eventually what children learn is they go somewhere else and they get it. And so they learn that whenever they start feeling close to somebody as a teenager, young adult, they push away from that. So when attachment comes into play and there's any kind of, they feel too close, they will leave. When somebody is an anxious attachment, they will cling on. They will be, these are exaggerations. I mean, it's a big picture, but if you're an anxious attachment, there's a lot of anxiety around you and hovering attention, and you're always wanting to please or learn to please and get fed by that early. You'll do that later on. But he's describing, I don't know his relationship. I'd love to know his history with the relationship. He's just kind of stayed away from them, or if he's kept it very distant. But the way he's describing that is the people that I needed, they just weren't there. Never figured out. So he's describing it as I never really needed that. But that's what daycare babies are. So when a child grows up in a daycare from 8 weeks old and they're there from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. because the parents have to work and pay bills and make money, they learn to be self-sufficient. They look more independent and capable, which they are in regular life, but emotionally they're not.
Interesting.
Don't expect
nobody's gonna.
Ain't nobody coming to save you. You know what I
There
mean?
you go.
For the most part.
You got kids now.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
But he
it's
doesn't do it
also-
with them.
A lot of parents won't let that happen to their kid. They don't let their kids grow. They save them all the time. So you kind of have the opposite.
That's real.
You're kind of like
Yes, complete opposite. I have a
Right.
very long leash.
So what
that I'm
about
very
discipline?
grateful for. I missed that part. Like the
You
discipline.
mean you didn't need it? Didn't have it?
No. The discipline that I had. It depends on what type
Well,
of
I mean,
discipline
okay,
you're talking
discipline. Like you had to step out of line. Like something in your life as a kid. Who grabbed you and said you can't do that?
about. Disciplinary action.
What was the dumbest, stupidest thing you did?
At 6 years old, I was smoking cigarettes regularly around the neighborhood.
Insane. How does that even happen? Like,
just being around the neighborhood and like.
So you're
Neglect,
six.
abandonment.
And the thing was, my brother's 4 years older than me, almost 4 years
and
older
he's
than
10.
me.
He's smoking too.
No, that's the wild thing. It was just I was always hanging around the older kids in the neighborhood that he was hanging around, and they were smoking, and I was young and fearless and trying to be cool. So it was like, it was.
So this is where you ask him, I wish I was doing this interview. What about your children? Were they smoking at 6? And he will say, are you crazy? No. Why? Because I'm there.
It seemed like they were about to go to that, but then it changed the subject.
Like, let me see that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And of course, we're all out there kind of like
Yeah.
young parents with like long leashes. Not like my mom knew I was doing this.
Yeah.
She was just, my mom comes from a town. First of all, my mom got 10 brothers and sisters.
Okay.
She comes from maybe 9 brothers and sisters. She comes from a massive family with a single mother, like type of broken home type of thing where they all raised each other.
Sure.
And she comes from a small town where it was like, yo, you leave your
Like
door unlocked.
Shameless,
She
the
comes
show.
from where you can let your kid, like I was out, and she allowed me that, probably like she was, just out there. And I think back then it was probably a little safer to be just out roaming. So while I'm out roaming, of course my mom has no clue that her 6-year-old son would try to.
If I see a 6-year-old
it's wild.
smoking
It's
on, I'm
insane.
looking at that kid going, this
crazy.
kid has no shot.
It's crazy.
So nobody said, hey.
No, see,
Come on,
that's
man.
the life-changing moment about this. This
Okay,
was
okay,
literally
right.
a life-changing moment. I guess it's kind of getting to what you're asking. I literally remember, I'm 6 years old. I'm I'm smoking with these with these kids in the neighborhood that are older than me, and you know, to them it's funny. You know, they're 10 themselves, so it's funny for them to see like. Nobody's really worried about me. Like, hey, don't do that. You know what I mean? They just like they're 10 and smoking cigarettes.
They got their
you know what I mean? So like, they're not. It's not like they're gonna say, hey man, maybe you should do that. Nah. So I'm smoking with these older kids. Boom, boom. This is going on for 2-3 weeks or something. And one day, I'm down the street at a house where it was happening at, and my brother comes up. And I asked one of our homeboys in the neighborhood, I'm like, yo, you got any cigarettes? I'm 6, trying to be cool. I'm like, yo, you got any cigarettes? My brother hears this for the first time because he didn't know what was going on. My brother hears it and he's like, what are you talking about? Like, Jermaine, shut up. Like, he's shut up. That was my brother's energy. Shut up. Like, Jermaine, shut up. Like, what you talking about? I'm like, oh, he don't know. He don't know. I'm like, yo, tell him, don't I be smoking? Don't I be smoking? Like, proud of it, like trying to be cool.
I do this. This is what I do.
And so they confirmed it. They was like, yeah, he be smoking. So right away, and looking back in retrospect, I'm so grateful my brother did this. And at the time, I was so like, I felt so like it was treason. But my brother was like, I'm telling mom. And he walked home. And I'm 6, of course I'm dumb. But I'm like, I don't care. Like at 6 years old, I was like, you're gonna go and tell mom, and then she's gonna ask me, and I'm gonna say I don't smoke. I saw it.
You saw that.
I saw it in my mind, but I'm just gonna say I don't smoke.
I'm just gonna lie.
So this is how dumb I am. Now the cigarettes are available. I go into the backyard right at this time, and we start smoking the cigarette, and I'm being cool, boom, boom, boom. And so my brother, about, I don't know, 20 minutes later or something, walks to the backyard where we was at. And he was like, Jermaine, he was like, mom wants to see you. I'm like, all right. Like, I'm like, okay, like, all right, so what? So I'm walking home, no fear. I have no, there's no worry. No worry at all.
Nothing's gonna happen.
And I walk in the house, and she's like, Jermaine. I'm like, yeah, mom. And she's like, what's this I hear about you smoking cigarettes? I'm like, huh? I'm like, huh? She's like, come here. And I walk up close to her, and she was like, say something. I was like, what do you mean say something? And when I said it, she bent down. And, she smelled this cigarette smoke on my breath. And this was the life-changing moment right here, because I saw her face. When she smelled like cigarettes on my breath, her face was like, it was like heartbroken. It was disbelief. It was like crushed. I remember the look on her face, and she was like, you have been smoking. Like, it hit her like that. Her baby, I'm the youngest of 2, that her baby, who's 6, A, is capable of smoking cigarettes, and B, capable of lying dead to her face about it. So it hit her, and I'm pretty sure, and my mom was not the type to give the whoopings that would like be relegated to my stepfather down the line, but I think I got one right then and there, because it was just like an emergency situation that I feel like she had to do. But honestly, I don't even remember the whooping, because, matter of fact, I know she gave me a whooping because her boyfriend, who would end up becoming my stepfather, came home, and he usually was like the disciplinarian, and he was like, when he told me, he was like, I heard about what happened. He was like, I'm not gonna whip you because I heard your mom already did it. So she must have whooped me. But my point is, I don't remember that part.
That's crazy. Like, the fact that, to me, what got me the most there was like, I feel like his mom didn't even believe J.Cole's brother, like, because he was only 10 years old. Like, I feel like a lot of kids like that, like, joke around and like, oh, Jake or Jermaine smoker or whatever, and the mom doesn't believe it. But then when she brought him in and she smelled it, she was like in disbelief. It's crazy. That part's crazy to me.
Yeah, that she's so unplugged. She was so unplugged that probably just living life, going to work, doing her thing, that, she grew up with 9 other children around her. So they kind of raised themselves, did their thing, single parent. You can't really have much contact there. So she, I guess, was just assuming they were just out playing around doing their thing. And so it was kind of a parenting moment there where you wake up and it's like, oh, wow. You feel bad as a parent. You feel guilty as a parent. You feel frustrated. You feel angry. There's a whole bunch of different emotions. But it's a wake-up call. I don't know what she did after that, though.
And she whooped them. That's what she did.
all I remember was her face.
Yeah.
And the reason why I think that was the life-changing moment, to where after that I didn't need much correction. I became a self-corrector, is because that was the first time that I became aware that, like, oh, my actions can hurt someone else. Like,
Disappoint
things
her,
that I
yeah.
do, my decisions can hurt somebody else. You know what I mean? Not just
Well,
me.
they say that a kid doesn't even develop that until like 10, 11, 12, like that, to think outside of them.
Right.
So
That's
to get
not
that
actually
at
true.
6,
I mean, the concept generally he's speaking about is true, because children who are young, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, are egocentric. So they think kind of about and around themselves. Like, they want what they want now, and they think sometimes things are all their fault. So yes, brain development wise, the concepts can work that way, where they develop more of a conscience kind of. But even from a very young age, children can learn self-responsibility. What I tell people all the time is consequences don't change behavior. People look at me like, what do you mean? Like, you can take a cell phone from a teenager. It's going to change behavior temporarily, shortly, not for very long. Then they'll be like, I don't care. The feeling of responsibility, which is what he's talking about, the gut, you know, in your gut, you ever driven and you down the road, you're driving and you might be speeding and you see a police officer and you like hit the brakes or slow down and you look in the rearview mirror and your stomach is like sinking. That's the feeling of responsibility. Like, I may be guilty. He's got that. When that stays in us long enough, we will change our behavior. And that's what he's talking about. That hit hard enough to me that it made me want to change my behavior. And that's what we have to work on with children, not just consequences and whoopings and all that stuff, but these are very good points that I've got a story about Nick. I tell it at a later date, but you know, when he was even 15 months old, just not even a year and a half old. So I believe way earlier, like his age even, they can develop that feeling of responsibility.
Yeah.
to be like, whoa. Obviously, you were like growing up. I mean, that wasn't to figure that out. First of all, to be smoking at 6, like that's a whole different.
It blows my mind.
I mean, and then to
living
remember,
a teenage life
I don't know
at
if
6.
your reaction was when you say you moved other people. Was it like I feel bad that I hurt my mom, or was it I really screwed up? I don't know how a 6-year-old even does that.
I think it was, you know, this person I really love and care about. I let him down. I lied blatantly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was doing something that.
Disaster kid.
Yeah, it was crazy. I don't.
You know what's interesting? This guy's not doing any favors for this interview. I don't know who he is, but you know, he is at the moments when J.Cole says something like, you know, I lied, and that what he's saying is that's not who I wanted to be, and that's not who I wanted my mom to see. He cracks a joke. If you notice, each time J. Cole gets serious about something, he cracks a joke. Like, man, 6-year-old, what a kid, yeah. And they laugh, which is okay. I mean, he's an interviewer. He's not a psychologist or anything. But the truth of the matter is, right then is when you want to go in with J. Cole and say, man, at 6 years old, you knew how it felt to lie to your mom. And you knew that that wasn't the person you wanted to be. Like, that's a shaper of life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's the GM of a basketball team.
Yeah.
So he's not.
Business guy.
Yeah. So then from there, you learned that was a moment for you. Like you remember that. Obviously,
that's a big.
30 years later, you got.
That's a big thing in my life. That never went away. Yeah, for sure.
Then, so your brother had a part. Your mom. When I talked to you when we met, I asked you about when you thought you were. I don't know if music came first as a love or basketball. Which one was it? When you realized.
I mean, it depends because, like making music. Do you mean, or like versus playing basketball?
I mean, here's the only way I can relate to it because I don't have two things. I don't know if you feel like you have two things. It seems like you do. It seems like you love basketball. Obviously, you love music. I don't know if you rank them. I only know when people ask me about basketball. It's when I answer that I say it's the only thing I know in life. It's the only thing I know, and I say. When I'm driving my car and I see a basketball hoop or a game of 2-on-2 or 1-on-1 or 3-on-3 or at the park, and I can't not look. I have to. So I can't not be around basketball. So that's the only way I know how to describe basketball. But when you say music or basketball, a lot of the players I'm around want to be musicians. A lot of the musicians want to play basketball. But I don't know if you can equally love those two things the same.
Yeah.
But you're one that I don't know. You tell me.
No, I understand your question. I think my first love, meaning as a kid, 4 or 5 years old, it was music. Before, I loved listening to music, pretending that I'm Bobby Brown or pretending that I'm Michael Jackson. I loved that first and foremost. I remember that I had the Michael Jackson tape at 4 years old. I had a Bobby Brown tape at 4 years old. Just remember the love of listening to music. Then basketball came years later because just like, everybody around the neighborhood is playing basketball. Of course, you're a kid, everybody's going to the NBA in their mind. That was me. But I think actual love, that from what you're saying, I'm clarifying it in my mind now. Actual first love, because to me, love is like, it's an action. You know what I mean? Like it's an action word in a sense where it's like, it doesn't have to just be an action word, but in the sense of this question, I see it as an action word. So even when I was playing basketball, it was delusion. It was like I thought that I was just like a 6-year-old that thinks he's going to the NBA. You have Steph Curry that maybe thought he was going to the NBA, and had a good reason to think so. Maybe had early skills and early signs
his
that
dad
put him
played.
on. Yeah, his dad played, right. So it's like
I can do this.
Yeah, it's not far fetched. But then you have me at 6. Yeah, I'm going to the NBA. It's like you're on no path. You don't have the early skills or early signs. It's just a delusion. So I think my love for basketball. Yes, I love playing. I was highly competitive, but my love was not in the form of work. I didn't have anybody to show me, hey, if you really love this thing and you really want to go do it, here's how you express your love for it, and this is how you get to where you want to go. I didn't have that. I had it was really play. It wasn't. Love is like hard in a sense. It's like a family, like having kids, having a wife, having a husband.
It's pain.
It's work, it's discipline, it's sacrifice. And the first thing I ever did that for in my life was music.
And did you think that you...
Anything on that for you?
I don't know what he was trying to get at with that other than just, what's your main passion in life? And I think, when you're young, everything's a fantasy. Mm-hmm. And also when you're young, you don't recognize talent typically as much. I think younger children now have more talent in anything because we have more training skills available, more opportunity. Like when I was a child, you picked up whatever basketball or baseball bat or what, you just played with whatever. Yeah. We didn't stretch before practice. We just didn't have the training that we do now. And same with music. I think we have the instruments, we have the capability with electronics to create. So it's very different
with
now.
With music, you can if you have a phone, you can create a song. You literally just have to have a phone to create a song now, which back in the day, I'm sure, like when there wasn't phones, you had to find out other ways.
And especially growing up where he was, who didn't have much probably grew up really poor and not being able to have access to a whole lot of things. So what they drift to is, whatever's catchy, whatever's exciting, and that's where he was. So curious after 6 if he kept hanging with those people who were smoking at 10, but he didn't smoke, or if he just went away from them completely, or if there's other stories in there.
Yeah. Also, like kids now, like training to become athletes, they're in the gym lifting weights at 6 years old.
Yeah.
Like they're it's crazy. But
there's a big difference between loving a sport and being passionate about it. Like really putting in the work.
Yeah, and if y'all don't know J.Cole or how he liked basketball, look up J.Cole shooting basketball. Like he's good. Like he has played overseas like professionally.
Wow.
So he's a really good basketball player. And I think if he chose,
it's awesome.
If he chose basketball over music, I'm sure he probably could have made himself into a good player.
That type person can be successful at anything. They might not have total skills in all different areas, but they have such a drive in them that they can learn to be good.
Yeah.
All right. We had a chance in music. Did you know? Because I'm around. You wonder why people, your children. I talk to other musicians. Their children's are musicians. They believe there's somebody that showed them this is possible, and they're around it. And then they think, well, my dad did it. It ain't no big deal.
Mentoring.
Same as the NBA. You got a lot of players that parents played, and once you break through that, I can do this too. Yeah. It actually, there's momentum to that. Yeah. So your kids, you probably already know this, their chances of being in music are exponentially great. Yes. Whether they're talented, just because they know dad does this. Yep. So what made you think that music could be that for you, or did you not think that way?
I did. I had delusion, and
But was it really delusion? Because you talk about NBA delusion, you go, that's just a dream every 6. But you thought it was the same for
The
music?
music was the same. I'm
thing.
talking about as soon as I started, as soon as I ever wrote my first rap, I'm the type of person where like.
You mean you had delusion, like I can do this in a good way?
Yeah.
Because I'm hearing it like,
okay, good.
Because you said delusion.
I view delusion in two ways.
Okay.
One, this person has no clue. They're nowhere near what they're talking about.
Okay.
The other delusion that I view is not in a negative.
I got you.
You have to have a delusion.
So was the delusion about basketball?
Yes, my delusion about basketball was well, they were both equal.
I got you.
They were
I
both
understand.
equal. They were both equally far-fetched, but they were both necessary.
I see.
If Steph Curry is not delusion, his father's doing it.
Yeah.
But maybe Allen Iverson is delusion. You know what I mean? Maybe that's delusion. You
got
don't
you.
have the size.
Yeah,
you don't have a father who's.
I'm sorry, this interview is all over the place. I feel like, I don't know.
Well, this guy is not an interviewer, clearly. You can tell he doesn't have a plan or a path with, I'm going to go from this question to this one and kind of follow a storyboard. When they're getting off into the delusion, he didn't need to clarify delusion. J.Cole was doing fine. Just, we can kind of realize he wasn't delusional, meaning I had a stupid idea. I just had this dream that I'd be a musician and it was a stupid dream. Delusional means that's a false sense of reality. His basketball thing. You're not going to make it as a basketball player at your height or your ability or whatever. You might be really, really good, but you can't make it. That's delusional. He's equaling the two, and then the guy going on a track, but let it go.
Yeah. I think he would have explained himself if he would have.
He would have worked it out.
Whatever. Here we go. We'll do it.
You got a couple of ADHD guys here.
Yeah, it sounds like it for real.
Yep. So, but regardless, I think that anybody that's shooting for something extremely high,
goals, dreams,
a little irrational.
A little irrational, because if you were to let logic or rationality, you wouldn't make it because
too many
everything
obstacles.
The numbers, the odds.
You can't do that.
The odds aren't in your favor.
Bro, just let J.Cole talk.
But to your question, the delusion about music, I'm honestly that person till this day, and I really appreciate it about myself. It's a strength. When I start something, if I golfed for the first time seriously, like me and my friends really had like a competitive outing. I don't golf. Yeah. But I like saw improvement in the day and then in the next day. Yeah. So my mind instantly goes to, I still have the same delusion from when I was 6 and 12. Yeah. My mind instantly goes to, I wonder how good I could get if I did this every day. How good could I get? Could I, and I shoot for the highest thing that my mind will allow me to, acceptable level of delusion, and then I try to say, well, maybe I'll get to that. And maybe I won't. But I start with a seed of delusion. So basketball.
Explain.
There are certain people that have, a success mindset that they are going to be victorious and they are going to overcome no matter what. Matt Damon used to talk about that, and the actor, in auditioning when he was a teenager, and he said we'd go to auditions, me and Ben Affleck, his friend, and they'd go themselves, and the other kids would all have their parents there with them, like they were kind of making them go or bringing them along, and he's like, got that one, I'll take them down, no problem whatsoever. They had such a confidence that we're so good at this. Like, I'm here because I am hungry. So high achieving people are hungry, whether it's golf or basketball or fishing or dominoes or what. It doesn't matter. They just want to excel in it. So that's why you see him talking about no matter what he does, it's almost like it's hard to just enjoy it. He wants to get better and better.
Yeah.
I was like that. It didn't pan out because I never.
But when you were 12 or 13 or 14, when you started
all the way
thinking
back
about
to 12,
they ask kids, "What do you want to be?" Mm-hmm. Would you have checked, or would you have thought rational? Would it start feeling like music is a better path for you, or was it always just like basketball's there?
Man,
because you told me you got cut from your team, and that was the moment where it was shock. It was a shock to you.
Yep.
And then you told me what you did with it.
Yeah, I got cut twice, from 9th and 10th grade.
Yeah, and then
it's crazy.
You were just, how does this happen to me?
That's what you told me. My first time.
You were kind of like, this isn't. Yeah. I'm supposed to be.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I had no what do you call it, organized basketball experience outside of rec. Yeah. I didn't play middle school because my middle school didn't have a team. I went to some little specialized middle school that they tried for the first time. So yeah, when I got cut my 9th grade year, I'm looking around like, well, how are you gonna cut me? Yeah. Instead of looking in the mirror, like, bro, you're not even really that good. Like, I started making excuses. Oh, but I'm better than this guy, Yeah. It wasn't until the next year when I got cut again, where first time I had to look in the mirror, like, oh yeah, why did you get cut? Yeah. Oh, you never worked. You didn't. Did you?
But that was all
anybody?
you that figured that out.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a coach where you go, coach, and the coach goes, you don't even practice, you don't even play, you don't even try. It was you.
Yes, I had to realize. I mean, yeah, I had to get punched in the face 2 times. Those were. I love basketball so much, and my delusion was high. So to get cut from the team was a gut punch. You know what I mean? I literally could have cried when I went and looked at the list and my name wasn't on there. It was like, you know. And so the second time, now I'm so grateful that I got punched in the face twice, because it was like, well, wait a minute. If I only got punched that one time, and I know some people in my life, they get punched that one time,
And that's it.
they'll never go try out again. The pain of that was too much to ever go back.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that it was like, nah, I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna try again. And I got cut again, and it was the world saying, well, of course you got cut. Like, I had to take a look in the mirror. But to your question though, I forgot to mention this. Where did the delusion come from?
Yeah.
I think I really believed, you know, when your parents tell you you can do anything, you can be anybody. My mom was big on that.
Okay, I got you.
She was big on like filling me with you can do whatever. You know, Jermaine, you can do whatever you want to do.
That's a big.
Yeah.
A lot of people go the other way with that. That's interesting that your mom, like, you remember that part about you can do this, you can go do this.
Jermaine, you could be. And it wasn't even anything specific.
Were
Jermaine,
you like, I know? When you heard that, were you like, yeah? Or was it encouraged? Or did you need that?
I felt like I knew, but
it helps, mom.
But honestly, I mean, I was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. I think she was.
Yeah, she was hitting you with
She was like implanting that in me. So it was like, but I think the confidence I had was quiet. If you would have asked me when I was 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 what I was gonna do, I would have never said out loud, I'm gonna be a rapper. I would have never told you that, because I believed it, but
Why wouldn't you tell me?
Because I knew that you wouldn't believe. And I didn't want anything that you had to say. I didn't.
Because if you tell me and I go, come on, you're not gonna do that.
Yes.
You don't want to hear that.
I wouldn't even tell my mom. Like I went to school at St. John's because in my mind I'm like, at this time the music industry was way different, and the music industry was in New York.
Yeah.
That was it. It was budding, starting to bud up.
Is that why you went to St. John's?
That's why I went to St. John's. Because in my mind it was a quiet play of, I'm doing music at a high level. I know this is what I want to do. I have to be around the music industry. Delusion. I thought it was.
Tell anybody that? Why you chose?
That's interesting. I think him talking about like being quiet about it because he didn't want anybody to know until he did it. Almost like he didn't want anybody getting in his way. That's how badly I think he wanted that. I don't know if you have.
No, I think that's, he didn't have huge ego. Like, he's not so arrogant that he has to boast falsely. He just quietly was wanting to get better and better.
No, that's what I'm saying. I never.
Nobody.
No.
Brother?
No.
Nobody.
No. It was all inside. I didn't even tell my mom, like, and she the one that had to pay for the school. You know what I mean? I was just like, she knew I wanted to go to New York, but I never said out loud, Mom, I want to go to New York because I'm gonna be right next to the music industry and I'm gonna make it happen. I was like, yo, I have to keep all of this.
And then you do that, right? And you're there. And what was the first time you got recognition for what you were doing in a way where you could say, did something happen where your first album or mixtape where then you could say, yeah, this is what I'm doing?
In basketball, I never had any evidence that I was as good as I thought I did.
Okay.
Never. Like I could, against average guys, I could dominate. Yeah. But there was never a time where I went against the best player on the high school team.
Where you could really see it.
In music or in rapping at 13, 14, 15, 16, and my whole teenage years, I got that validation constantly because I would always go up because there's a rap scene in Fayetteville where I'm from. Yeah. Lots of kids my age rapping all over the city, kids older than me rapping. In every situation around the city where there was a cipher is a bunch of dudes in a circle taking turns rapping, right? Somebody might be beatboxing or maybe there's no beat, and everybody takes turns rapping. Every one of those moments I got in, which was frequent, maybe at least one night a week, sometimes 2 nights a week in different little locations. Maybe it's at the movies, maybe it's at the high school game, maybe it's in the hallway of the high school gym, maybe it's at the skating rink.
Yeah.
Every time one of them situations popped up and I stepped in, it was complete validation because the reaction was insane. It was probably what the top guys in basketball would feel when they're on their game.
So you knew you got that, but
I knew I had something.
I like how you used the word delusional in a positive way. So that made you what you are, right? That belief. But then you're getting it in music in the ciphers and where you are. In basketball, you're kind of like, well, that'll come later, or you kind of know at that time.
I think around. Well, first of all, I get cut once. Yeah, right. I get cut twice. I know I'm not that guy.
Okay, I got you.
There's no part of me that think I'm still that guy. Yeah. No, now I recognize. Yeah. Now I recognize the mountain that I gotta climb.
Yeah, I got you.
My delusion, it was more realistic at this point. It was, do I want to climb this mountain? As a kid that just got cut 2 times from the team and had to work. By the time I was a senior, I was starting. Had to work my way up to there. Do I want to continue to climb to be a college walk-on, to go from a college? I saw my future, like, yo, like if I work hard enough, because now I understand in basketball, I understand the power of hard work. If I work hard enough, I could walk onto a team. I believe in my ability to at least walk onto a team. But then if I work hard enough, could I get some consistent playing time by the time I'm a senior? If I do that, could I then go overseas, keep working, and be one of these, like, I remember Jamario Moon's name at the time. I always loved his story. Came out of nowhere, played in mad leagues, but you could tell to have that level of determination. It's like Gary Payton. Second, it's like you just have a level of determination, and I saw that for myself possibly in basketball. But then I saw in music, it was couldn't do both. Right. So eventually at some point it was like, yeah, exactly.
When was the moment where you?
All right, I think we're gonna stop there. But
this guy likes to take drinks.
Yeah, he likes to drink his water. Anything in that last little section there?
I think, he kept going back to the basketball thing. I think what J.Cole was saying was, I realized when I was an adolescent, teenager, that kind of age range from 10 to 15, that, I was riding my talent. That's what happens with young children, right? You're talented at something.
Yeah.
And the best kids are always the best. And then when you hit teenage years, if you just ride your talent, you're going to get passed up because people are going to outwork you. And I think what he was saying was, I didn't want to work that hard on basketball. Like, I love basketball and I wanted to be good at it, but I didn't want to do what I had to do to get to that point. But he was naturally good at music. He was that all-star player at music and rapping. And so he got the feedback for it, which made him want to do it more.
Yep. I agree. Yeah. I think J. Cole chose correctly. He's a great artist.
No kidding.
He's made so many good songs. One of the best
Love
rappers
to talk
out
to him
right
about
now.
This one day.
J. Cole is singing this. Please hit us up. We'd love to interview
mental
on our
health
podcast because it
sounds
like he has a lot. I mean, in his songs that you've reacted to,
very
for
balanced,
sure. But if y'all want to see an extra little clip of this, just another 5 to 10 minute clip, go to Patreon or become a YouTube member. You will see this the Monday after it's released on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. Tom, anything you want to say?
That's it. Love this format.
All right.
And we'll see you on the next
Reaction Therapy podcast.